Okay, so for this series, what I think I'm gonna do is I'm going to do this one for about 30 or so minutes, and cut it off there. And then from this footage, I'm going to have this on YouTube, so it'll just be kind of like a little video that you can watch, but it's not going to be like the main of it, because the main of it is just going to be like what I'm talking about, because I'm hoping that this will be an opportunity to sort of connect and be able to have conversations with those who listen to the Drop podcast or just watch the Drop videos, or those who enjoy like my podcast, How About You, and I mean whatever other content that I have. This is sort of a way that we can, keep in touch, I guess. And I decided that this would be like a good first, because right now this is Pokemon FireRed. It's a game I used to play a lot as a kid, and it's easy. Like I could play this. I don't know. I could play this with my eyes closed. Like I've played it a lot. I know it. So I figured it would be an easy thing. I don't have to think about it too much, so I can sort of focus on the live stream more, and sort of go through like everything that I'm gonna be talking about. But first things first. Text speed is fast. That's always a first. We'll also have sound. I'm gonna have it lower. So anyway, I hope that you will enjoy this. Like I said, it's my first ever live stream ever, so I'm still figuring things out. I'll see how it goes. And then of course, like, I'm gonna be uploading this then to my podcast, the Drop Podcast, because I've been trying to figure out like what are some ways that I can make content that's different. You know what I mean? And I couldn't really quite figure it out. And so I had to, because I wanted to make content that I could put on a podcast that you didn't have to see, But I ended up landing on this idea where, okay, well, what if I just did something where I played a game, or either a game, or I would like draw or something, which I still might do that, but that'll be after this. So I figure like one nice way, in a way that I can sort of relax a little bit every Monday or Sunday, but I am thinking Monday. Every single Monday, probably sometime in the morning, I'll do one of these. But I figure that every Monday I'll record these, and then so like if you go to my YouTube, it'll be something that you can watch. If you go to my podcast, it'll just be something that you can listen to. And I think I'll try to do like easy things like this, where I can easily talk over it and glance over at the chat, just like see what's up, and then come back and just kind of play, And it's entertaining for those who are watching, I think. Like, it's something that you just kind of look at and you don't have to, like, think about too much. So, I mean, I don't know, I think it's a good idea. And this game is something I've always enjoyed. Like this, I think FireRed was, like, my first Pokemon game I played. I haven't played games as much anymore just because, like, I've been so focused on TheDropPodcast and How About You and, you know, all that stuff, and sort of developing myself. So it's kind of nice to, like, come back and do this, I guess. Like it's just, I don't know. It's relaxing. It's easy. And I get to play games again, I guess. Cuz I didn't, I mean, like I said, like, I've just been so focused on so many other things that games sort of took a, I don't know, back turn for a long time. And I remember, like, as a kid, like, I used to watch these, like, there was this guy named, like, Leroy or something, and I used to really enjoy his content that he would make, just because, like, it gave me, like, a very, like, homey vibe. Like during the summer, I would just sort of, like, spend all day watching that and then go outside or something. But anyway, I digress. So, but I want this podcast, I want it to be, like, I don't want it to just be me. I do want it to be, alright, so I want it to be a few things. I want it to be me connecting with the audience, one. So, you know, any questions that anyone has, I want to be able to, you know, answer those, just talk about those, any ideas. But I also want it to be, I want it to be similar to my episodes, my daily, or not my daily episodes, but my episodes every Monday and Sunday, where I'm just sort of, like, talking about things, because I still want it to be, like, documentation. But I figure, like, the podcast, it can be longer episodes, because it's, like, people driving to school or whatever. But I don't want it to just be, like, pointless, you know what I mean? Or, well, I guess that's not true. Because I heard, like, my significant other, she listens to Chris D'Elia's podcast, which Chris D'Elia's podcast is him literally just, like, sitting there and talking about stuff. Like, it's not even that relevant, but it's kind of, you know, it's entertaining, and she still enjoys it. So I guess it'll sort of double as that, but I still want to have, like, the aspect of, I'm gonna, like, tell you, like, document what's going on, you know what I mean? So that's what I want it to be. So that being said, I guess, like this past week, because today is Monday, so this past week, from last Monday to this Sunday, I kind of took, like, a really, like, super chill time. Like, I didn't really, or I was hanging out with, like, a lot of people. Like, I've been trying to sort of, like, reconnect, because, like, I just graduated from high school, and so there's been, like a lot of things have happened in, like, the 4 years, well, not even, like, the 4 years, but just, like, I'm in the same neighborhood that I grew up in, and I'm about to leave. So it's kind of like, there's been a lot of people in my life that are still around that I sort of have become less in touch with, even though, like, summers growing up as a kid, like, I'd be hanging out with some of these people every single day. Or like back whenever I was younger, I would hang out with a lot of people from my school over there, because my school is so close that, or my grade school was so close that you could walk there, and it was a public school, so like all of your friends were around. But since like after I was in grade school, I went out to the city because my mother opened up a business, and so there was a school out there that was more for, or it was, well, it was a religious school, so it was what did I say? It was a Catholic school, and so that was like the first big transition, because most people in public middle schools end up going to or not the public middle schools, the public grade schools end up going to the public middle schools. And so that was just like such a huge transition, because I ended up, or I guess like what I'm trying to say is like that was the split from me and like a lot of those people, but still like I was in the same neighborhood, and so I still got to see a lot of the same people. But now it's gotten more to the point where I reconnected once in grade school, like probably 8th grade or whatever, but anyway. But then the same thing happened in middle school, where I went to this private middle school out in the city, and then I actually came back, not to the suburbs, but I ended up going the other direction, because I'm right on the edge between Missouri and Illinois. And so I'm trying to figure out like how to say this, because I don't want to like give away where I am, you know. But I'm right on the edge between Missouri and Illinois, so I'm right by, let's say, Alton. So I went to a school over in Alton. I'm not gonna say what school that is, but if you know Alton, you probably know, or have a few ideas, because there's not much. Like, you go over to Alton, and it's sort of like a city that, or there's like a place that used to be like considered a city, like an old time city, but now it's gotten to the point where it's like there's good businesses there, but there's not a lot, and so there's also not a lot of schools around there, you know. Like, I feel like there's more older people there now, and like I feel like you have to go deeper. Like, a lot of people are in Godfrey and I guess Wood River, but even then it's still more like country-ish. So I got to see, like, in my life, which I actually think this is really cool, I got to see, oh yeah, I forgot, I was going down to get something, but I forgot what I was getting, but anyway, I got to see the city, and then I grew up in the suburbs, and then I got to see a little bit of, like, the country-ish, or at least what I consider the country. And so I always like that idea that, like, I got to see so many different sides of people and where people live. But again, it's like, and I'm not quite like this, so I'm not like comparing myself. But I feel like there are some similarities, and I can feel some understanding with some people on this, because there are, like, if you ever talk with someone who has changed, like, who has moved like 3 times in their childhood. Like, I have this close family that I used to be super, well, I wasn't necessarily chill with them, but I became chill with them after a while. But at first I actually didn't like them, but they were friends with my family, and so it sort of, it came to the point where we ended up getting tight with each other. But you know, they had moved, see, from I think like California to California to trying to think, California to, I think it was Missouri after that, but I'm not sure. I actually feel like there was one place in between, but they came from California to Missouri ish to like Ohio, then to Pennsylvania. So they have traveled, and their like oldest is only like a year above me, or 2 years. Maybe she's like 20 or 21 now. But like, it's just crazy, and you see, like, they have a lot of experience, and there's like a lot worth talking with them too, and they're very, very social, but there is like a sense of loss. I feel like they're not as like, well, I don't want to say that. It's weird. It's like wherever they go, they get super connected, but then they leave, and so you can tell that there's a lot of heartbreak. I just feel like they're very wise. You know what I mean? Not wise, like not like super mature, but they know a lot. You know? Or they're very in touch with their feelings, I'll say, and people. Like they are the kind of people where, like, I don't know, they understand you, and they're easy to talk to, I feel. They've seen a lot. Shoot, I'm digressing again, but anyway, I just feel like I resonate like a little bit with like seeing all these different sides, and it's not the same experience, for sure not, like, because I've always been able to connect, but you know how, like, whenever you have a friend, but then you just go in two different directions, and you see two different things, and you have two different experiences, there are things that correlate, but it's kind of like if your friend isn't talking with the same people that you're talking to, or in the same world that you're in, you lose, like, relevance. Because to me, like, say, like, Georgia, which is not a real person, like, Georgia is someone who is very relevant, oh my gosh, who's very relevant in my school, and I talk with my friends about Georgia or Michael or whatever relationship, or the dance team winning this or the basketball team. But I hear one of my friends who stayed within the school district, in the public school district, you know, like, he can't tell me about their basketball team, because I don't care. Like, it's just, like, your basketball team did really good, great, you know? Like, that's not something I relate with, you know, so I can't really, you know what I mean? It's just, you know, it just is what it is. And it's cool, like, but, oh, all this is just to say that I've started to try and reconnect with a lot of those people, because there's a lot of value in communication, and learning about other people's experiences, you know? Because we all have, like, the way I see people is we're all kind of like a triangle, because, like, a lot of our points are the same, or, like, we all, like, share in a experience, like, for example, like, we all feel sad, you know? There are differing degrees on how sad you are, or the cause of your sadness. But if I feel sad, someone else is feeling the exact same sad. Or that's at least my theory. And I think it makes a lot of sense, because, like, we are so empathetic, just as, like, human beings, that that is just, like, I from my own experience, I find that if I truly desire to understand someone and I listen to every single word they say, I don't quite get the experience that they had, but I get the feelings that they had. And if I really, really listen, I can see how the experiences that they had has led to where they are. You know what I mean? Like, how they feel. And that's just something that that I feel like, in that way, that is how I relate with those people who moved a lot. Because I'm digressing. I think I got sidetracked because I was super excited because I wanted this. I actually wanted this Pikachu from this forest, but I know it's like really hard to find it. But anyway, so yeah, I mean, I see people as like triangles because you see people. Okay, because people or, like I said, there are like different points. I feel like emotions are universal, so like all emotions are the same feeling. And I think that's also backed up because, like, you know, if I'm happy, I get a rush of serotonin, and so does, you know, someone else. I just think it differs whenever you get down to, like, you know, my experience. Like, what gives me a serotonin rush is sort of relative to, like, my culture or, like, my childhood, you know, how I grew up. So, I mean, that's different. Other than, like I said, like, if you listen, you can sort of relate, because in every single situation, like, people share an emotional response. You know what I mean? Like, most occurrences in our life has an emotional response that is attached to it. Like, embarrassment, you know what I mean? Like, I remember there was one time, like, I really looked up to this kid, and he was just like, I don't know, like, he was like the stud of our school. He was just like very athletic, very outdoorsy, and he was just really cool. And so I liked his style, and so I liked, like, the whole skateboarding thing, and the Converse that he did. And he was just like a very welcoming individual. Like, he wasn't super, like, judgy. He just sort of lived his life, and he'll keep a secret, you know, if you tell him. But anyway, so I just really looked up to that, and I thought that was really cool of him, just to be like the way he is. But there was one time, like, we were outside, and he was just like playing around, like everyone was playing with him, and I was there, and I was like, oh shoot, like, I wanted to play with him too, you know, but it just so I don't know, like, I literally just like sat out there and like waited for him to say something, and then finally he approached me just because he was just like that cool of a guy. So he came up to me, he was like, hey, you want to play with us? And I was like, yeah. And then shoot, that doesn't even make sense. This is a better one. This is a better story, actually. This is a better story anyway. So I used to have this crush on this girl. Like, back in grade school. Like, I was always into girls. Like, it was just like, I don't know. Like, girls was always like a huge focus, and even in grade school, it was always about, like, oh, you know, like, kiss her. Like, we would always make up stories about kissing somebody. But, like, I told everybody, and there was, like, one day where, like, I was being chased around by her, I guess, like, posse, or that's at least what it felt like in that moment. but I was just being like chased around by one of her friends, and then she brought me over, like set me down, and then like asked me if I liked her, and I was like, yeah. And then I literally, for the next 2 weeks or so, I just sat underneath this bench. And I remember, like, there was this one teacher that would come out and, like, just stand around, walk around, like, watching us during recess. And she would be like, why are you, or, like, don't you want to move? Because it was starting to get cold, too, and so I was shivering. And she was like, don't you want to move around? And then every so once in a while, like, every other day or so, the girl who I told that I liked her, she would come up to me and be like, hey, are you okay? And ask me stuff, and I'd just be like, leave me alone, like, go away, you know? And so it's just like, you know, that feeling of embarrassment and trying to be cool and, you know, stuff like that. And I feel like that sort of stemmed from, because I was super into Dragon Ball Z, and just like the stone cold, like, cool Western hero type of thing. Like, I always wanted to be like that. Like, it's like Bruce Lee or something, like a silent, super powerful guy. I guess like more like Vegeta from Dragon Ball Z. But anyway, so I was just kind of a jerk, I think. But anyway, I digress. So, you know what I mean? But that's like an experience, and there was stories like Dragon Ball Z in my childhood that led to me being the way I was. But I mean, like, other people feel that same embarrassment, even about girls too. But like a lot of times it's about something else too. You know what I mean? Like maybe a gay dude feels like that same nervous energy whenever approaching another male. So that's why I say, like, whenever you really listen, we can really, really connect with each other, because no matter what experience you have, you are sharing that experience of embarrassment that is the same no matter what, you know. That's just something, like, I think is important, especially for what I'm trying to do just in leadership. Because if you don't listen, like, if you don't sit back and listen, how do you expect to understand people? And then I listen to a lot of speakers, and so one thing that, like, I always remember from shoot, I forgot his name, but he wrote the book Why Leaders Eat Last, and Simon Sinek. So he said that, like, the simple definition of a leader is that a leader is simply a person who has followers. But you have followers because you have an idea or a vision on something that you don't think is right, and you want to fix it. And people agree with that vision. And I guess, like, if you want to get into, like, rhetoric, like, if you're going to have a mission or a vision or an idea, it's so crucial that you know how to, like, appropriately speak it to someone, or, like, express it, because you have to sell it, you know what I mean? Like, in everything you're marketing. And so you have to sell this idea that you have to the world, almost, or anyone who's willing to listen. But in order to be able to be a good seller, you have to understand the person that you're talking to. The only way to get good at understanding a person is to understand the way that people feel emotion, and you have to listen. Like, you absolutely have to listen. And understand, like, the process that people go through in regards to just, like, life. You know what I mean? It's all, I feel like, this is all to say, like, I just feel like that the key to that is to go at, like, how did people feel about an experience? Because you can't share an experience, but you can share a feeling. So I just think, I mean, that's all. I guess that's really all I have to say. In regards to that, oh, that's my timer. I'll go for, I'll go till, let's see, I'll go to 12, just to get to a good spot. Actually, I'll just head back to the Pokemon Center, and then it'll be a good spot. But anyway, yeah, so, I'm kind of having fun with this. It's different for sure, because I feel like whenever I put on the drop, like, I can see myself and everything. But right now, it's just, like, recording my voice. It's fun. Like, I'm enjoying this. It's just different. But I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, oh no, of course I got with the Kakuna Pokemon that uses, Harden, and now every hit is going to take down, like, 1 hit point. Okay. Oh yeah, but like I was saying, it's different, cause it's like I'm talking, but I'm also just, like, brainlessly playing this game, you know? Like, it's just, like, cause this is just supposed to be entertainment. Like, what you're seeing, the game is just supposed to be entertainment. It's not supposed to be, like, the episode or anything. It's just, like, cause the episode is supposed to be me talking, you know? And just, like, hanging out. Like, that's sort of how I see it. Like, it's just hanging out. Like, it's nothing too deep or too, like, topical. It's just me playing a game, and you could either watch or you can listen to me talk about it. Some other things I was thinking about in regards to this live stream thing is, like, what if I did it to where, like, the music was going in the background? Because I mean, I have no idea what it sounds like right now. Like, this will suck if this whole episode gets recorded and put up and you can't even hear me. Oh my gosh. But I mean, I guess I could just start over. Like, it's not that big of a deal, but yeah. Anyway, so I think I'm gonna end it about right there. I liked this episode. You know, just kind of talked. And I actually feel like I got a good little perspective out. So, alright. So I think that'll do it for this episode, and I will check it later for next Monday whenever I return to this, and the next drop episode. So expect this to come out. It'll come out on. It should be today, actually, because I want it to come out today on my podcast. We'll see how everything turns out and how the audio is and everything. Well, I hope you enjoyed, and next time I'll do a little bit more research. Hopefully get, like, an intro or an outro, and, like, a thumbnail and all that. Make it more organized, I guess.